The 2026 silly season is slowly but surely shaping up to be full of surprises, starting with Verstappen's increased rumours to Mercedes and ending all the way up to Kimi taking a temporary home in Alpine. But with many other drivers included, primarily the Red Bull juniors, as well as the veterans in Bottas and Perez, could we see the return of Mick Schumacher into Cadillac? And if Tsunoda is sacked from Red Bull, where could we see him race next? The situation on the Formula One grid is looking all but great right now. There are tons of surprise elements that could shake up the core of the grid as we know it. The most important one that we need to talk about, and probably the most recent one, is the temporary home of Antonelli in Alpine. The interest of Wolff towards Verstappen hasn't died down, despite all the rumours that he wants to continue with the current lineup he has. But at the end of the day, the four-time world champion has yet to state his intentions with Red Bull. In case he wants to leave, the initial belief was that he'll replace Russell. That has changed after the latest reports from Italy. All of a sudden, Kimi Antonelli could be making way in order for Mercedes to create one of the strongest, if not the strongest lineups on the grid as we know it. Russell and Verstappen have often clashed on the asphalt, and we've seen that when the cars deliver similar performances, Russell's not that far away from Verstappen. Yes, the Dutchman is a far more accomplished individual. We're comparing a four-time race winner with a four-time world champion. But still, the cars were vastly different in terms of competitiveness. It creates a little bit of a question mark as to what Verstappen would do in order to get Antonelli's seat. A lot of this lies in Alpine's next move, becoming a customer of Mercedes. Once they have their engines, they could use the power of their drivers as well, which would help them get out of the mud that they're currently in. Yes, it's not a temporary solution because Antonelli's dubbed to be the next champion of Mercedes. But at the end of the day, I don't see Wolff kicking Russell in order to bring Verstappen. And whether we like it or not, all of the cards are being held in Max's hands. As a four-time world champion, you have all of the power. You can commit to a move that would shake up the core of the sport as we know it. That does take a lot of sacrifices, and whether we like it or not, both of these teams are going to suffer. But Red Bull's pain is going to be a lot bigger, and we cannot talk about Antonelli to Alpine if we don't talk a little bit about Max to Mercedes. If Verstappen decides to keep his cool and continue with the project of the Austrian team, then I don't see how something is going to change in the drivers' market. Even Russell himself confirmed that currently everything is in the hands of the Dutchman. Whether he would be kicking out George or Antonelli from the seat is up to Wolff to decide, but nobody's safe when Max is on the block. The upgrades on the RB21 turned out to be downgrades, and the technical team led by Washe and Balbo have created a lot of question marks in terms of whether or not they're doing what needs to be done to improve the performance of that car. Ever since Newey left, followed by Wheatley and Courtenay, Red Bull has been nothing but a laughingstock in the Formula One world. We've seen that the second cars struggled to score points, and Verstappen knows that with this rate of downfall, he will be in the midfield sooner rather than later. He's a loyal driver, no question about it, but loyalty comes with its own price. And in this case, I don't think the price is bigger than him winning championships and races. He understands that 2025 is a lost cause, but he also understands that this is not the team that would suit him the best for when the new regulations hit. Therefore, a move to Mercedes, something that might have been discussed in Sardinia with Wolff, even though reports stated it was fake, could be on the cards. Yes, there have been reports that these two being at the same time on the Italian island is pure coincidence, but I highly doubt that. Amid all of the rumours, everything happens for a reason, and as Zak Brown said, where there's smoke, there's fire. In this case, the fire is Verstappen leaving Red Bull out in the dry and making them fight for their own survival. If that turns out to be the reality, then what are they supposed to do? Well, a rebuild would be amazing. There are two young drivers who could be promoted to the Austrian team, Hadjar and Lindblad. Hadjar already has experience as a driver of Racing Bulls, but judging from what we saw from Tsunoda and Lawson, I don't think this would be the best idea for him. Still, the end goal of the Racing Bulls driver is loud and clear. You know for a fact that there's no other team out there other than Red Bull who would want your services. And at the end of the day, this was considered to be a privilege not that long ago. Just look at the battle that was created between Lawson and Tsunoda and the media's reactions when the Kiwi driver was the picked driver. Still, the downfall of Red Bull needs to be studied, and from this point, I don't think either Lindblad or Hadjar are going to have a great time as Red Bull drivers. The team needs to focus on finding some technical solutions on the cars first before they talk about a second driver, and maybe the first good step in the right direction has been made by getting rid of Horner. Even if Max leaves, they know that he was the cancer that was putting the team in this position. So if they're starting everything from scratch, they might as well do it properly. At the end of the day, Hadjar's not really sure that he would perform very well at Red Bull. He didn't say he won't accept the promotion, he just said that at this point in his career it might be better to remain with the Italian-based squad for all the right reasons. He needs more experience and time to master the sport. And when talking about it to a greater extent, the Frenchman said, "I think Max in the Red Bull is very, very fast. It's his car and he drives it to the absolute limit. It's a more efficient car in high-speed corners. It's a faster car, but it's apparently hard to exploit most of it. At the moment, I'm not doing. It's not like I'm in total control and I'm scoring points every weekend. There's still lots to learn, so it makes more sense to stay where I am at the moment, that's for sure." And let's not forget about Cadillac. The American squad is entering the sport with a lot of promises that they could be up there fighting at the front. And that belief is hugely written to Valtteri Bottas. The 10-time race winner and the man who never missed a Q3 appearance with Mercedes from 2017 to 2021 is the top candidate to take one of the seats. But when it comes to Cadillac, it's never certain as to what the approach they're going to take is. Although it was believed that the second seat was going to be given to a young driver, now that there have been reports that Perez and Bottas could make up the lineup in the newly regulated era. But this is not a bad decision per se. This is something that would give them tons of quality and experience in order to push themselves up the midfield from the very early days. And once the right time comes, they could promote their own driver, such as Colton Herta, who still feels like he's not ready for Formula One just yet. But we need to be talking about the approach with the young driver as well. If Bottas takes one of the seats, or Perez for example, and Cadillac decides to go with a young driver next to them, it's highly likely to be Mick Schumacher. The German driver is looking for all types of ways to redeem his career after the poor Haas stint. And while he had some opportunities with Williams and Alpine, they never came to fruition. Now Cadillac has been viewed as a team that's willing to give second chances. And with how Mick can rely on Vettel's good words, I do believe he has a chance to be up there with either Bottas or Perez. Of course, he has a lot of catching up to do because he was sacked all the way back in 2022, and while he served as a reserve driver in Ferrari and is currently participating in the WEC Championships, that doesn't really help his case at all. On top of that, he has high competition in Tsunoda. The Japanese driver is all but safe in Red Bull given his poor performance. And if Cadillac can consider Perez because of how poorly the Red Bull drivers had performed once promoted, then why wouldn't Tsunoda be on their list as well? The financial part is also very important to be talked about. This is where Zhou comes in handy. The Chinese driver comes with a great backing from his sponsors, similar to Perez, so Cadillac will definitely have some sweet headaches in the foreseeable future. With all of this in mind, where do you think these drivers will end up once the silly season starts? And more importantly, which one do you think will be the biggest surprise as we head into the newly regulated era? Let us know in the comments below, and once you do that, make sure to click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now.